Hello everyone, Vexento here, back with another tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how to use Script API and also how to get started with it in Bridge. And I'll also be showing you how to subscribe to events and do all of the basic stuff that you would do in the Script API. And also give an explanation as to how it works. So, with that all said, let's get into it. So the first thing that you want to do is head over to Bridge and create a new project. Now, if you already have a project that already has Script API enabled, you don't really need to do this step. However, if you're new to Bridge, I suggest you watch the first tutorial that I am showing on your screen, or you can just follow along quickly with what I am about to do here. So, that being said, once you've clicked on New Project, then click on Experimental Gameplay and click on Beta APIs. Now, if you're not planning to use any Beta API because you don't want any experimental features and you just want your add-on to be stable, you can just leave this off. However, you might be a bit more restricted in terms of what the Beta APIs give you. Now, to give you an example of how different the stable API and the Beta API is, what you can do is you can head over to the Microsoft Script API documentation, and this is basically gives you all of the information that you need for Script API. And then with this, you can see up here under version there is Minecraft Bedrock Stable APIs, and in the Bedrock Stable APIs, what you want to do is under reference documentation, scripting and API references, modules, you can see there are only 3 modules, and these modules aren't as big as what you get in the experimental APIs. So if we were to change this into the experimental documentation, when we do the same thing, we can see we have a lot more access to a lot more modules. And as you can see here, we've got way more stuff, like extremely more stuff. We've even got cameras, we've got scoreboards, triggers, whatever here. So if you are wanting to use a module that's in the experimental API, then you need to use the experimental API, which is what we'll be using. However, if your add-on doesn't require using these experimental API, then I suggest turning off the experimental API, because things do change and break often every time Minecraft updates. So if you're not going to use any experimental modules, I suggest just using the stable API. However, if you're wanting to use something and you're just wanting to test stuff out, then the experimental API is the way to go. So, with that being said, in Bridge, what you can do is you can just finish setting up your project. So right now I'm just going to disable a lot of these, since I don't really need any of them. I'm going to just name my project Scripting Tutorial Add-on, and then Tutorial Add-on, if I can spell that correctly. And then, of course, with the project prefix, you don't really have to do anything here, unless you're messing with Minecraft components or the JSON components. However, in Script API, this doesn't really matter, so we'll just leave this as default. And then project author, you can put whatever you want here. And then project target version, which you want it on the latest, because the Script API reference documentation is based on the latest version of Minecraft. So we'll just keep it on the latest, which is 1.20.40, as that's the main version, main stable version. So once you set up your project and you're done with your settings, you can click on Create Project. And once your project is created, as you can see here, under the behavior pack, there is a scripts folder. And inside the scripts folder, you have your main.js. Now, you might be wondering, how do I actually get started? I've got a blank canvas and I don't really know what to do. Well, the first thing that you want to do is you want to use the modules that you want to use. So with our modules, if we head over back to the script API documentation, we are going to be using the Minecraft/server module. And depending on your use cases, you might want to have the server UI as well. So you can have custom modal forms or custom UI. But if you're using something very experimental, like the server editor, server net, or server game test, those are really only available to either the Bedrock dedicated server, so you can't actually use these modules on the Minecraft game, or you can only use it in the preview mode, which is the server editor at the moment, since this is very experimental. But hopefully they should port out, Mojang should port over the server editor soon. So now that we know what two modules that we want to use, since the Minecraft server is the main one that we'll be using, head on over back to Bridge. And what you want to do is you want to open your manifest.json in the behavior pack. So click on manifest.json and then scroll all the way down until you see dependencies. And this is where all of your modules, this is where you declare all of the modules that you want to use. So since we don't want to use the server-game test module, we can just delete that. And the second thing that we want to do is we want to specify the correct versions. Now, Bridge auto-generates these versions for us. However, these are actually wrong because they don't match what's in the documentation. So if we were to go to the Minecraft/server module, if we scroll all the way down, we can see available versions, and we can only see that there is a 1.8.0-beta. And as you can see in Bridge, there is only a 1.0.0-beta. And that version is actually no longer available. So we have to use the 1.8.0-beta. So with that, we can just delete that. And if Bridge auto completions are correct, we should get the same list of versions. So here we have the 1.8.0-beta. That's the one we want to use. Next one is the server UI. So again, what you want to do is you want to check the documentation if you're doing this manually. And then server UI, scroll all the way down until you see available versions. And we have 1.2.0-beta for the server UI. So we'll just change that to 1.2.0-beta. Now, just save your manifest and we can close it. Now, next thing that you want to do is you want to open up your main.js and you want to import these modules. And to import these modules, all you have to do is you have to use import. Then you want these curly braces. Currently, we don't really want to import anything specific, so we'll just leave this empty for now. And then from string at Minecraft/server. And then you want an ending brace there, which I forgot what the name was. I think it was a comma. No, it's not a comma. Oh well, I'll figure it out later. Anyways, so now that you have imported the server module, next thing that you want to do is you want to import the world module. Now, if we were to go back to the documentation and click on the Minecraft/server and scroll all the way down, we can see here, if I can find it, there is a world class. And this world class allows us to access the Minecraft world and allows us to modify it as needed. For example, we could store data into the world. We could even get the dimensions, get the day, get the players. We could play sounds. Even in dimensions, we can set blocks, we can get entities, we can get all sorts of stuff. So, this is what we want to import. So, to import it, all we have to do is go back to bridge. And inside these brackets, all we have to do is just type in world. And that is all we need to do. And you are ready to start writing your script. Now, I won't be explaining a whole lot in detail about how JavaScript works. If you want a tutorial or a guide on how JavaScript works or how to code in JavaScript, since Minecraft uses JavaScript for its script API, there is tons of tutorials on the internet, but I won't be actually showing you or explaining a lot how JavaScript works. I'll just be typing it out. So if you have any questions regarding any JavaScript questions, I suggest that you do some research and also take a course in JavaScript before actually commenting below. Unless it's a Minecraft specific question, then I'll respond. So, with that being said, now we want to use this world class. So to use the world class, we'll just go 2 lines down and then just type in world. Then what we want to do is access the world, and there we go. We have access to all of the methods, we have access to events, and we have access to scoreboards and all sorts of other stuff. So, I'm going to explain a little bit how this world class works. So if you want to place a block, you want to get the dimension, and then you can place the block in the dimension. That depends if it's a loaded chunk. However, if you want to access whether a button is pressed or a lever is pushed or whether an entity moves, what you want to do is you want to use a before event or an after event. Now, with after events, you can actually get data, a lot of this data, and there are way more events that you can actually use. However, you can't actually cancel these events. So to actually cancel events, for example, if you wanted to prevent a player from placing a block, you would use a before event. And with these before events, you can actually cancel chat sends, you can cancel all of these item uses, player break block, and player leave. Some odd reason, I don't know why you would want to cancel a player leave, but that's just there. And of course, you can have a whole load of stuff. So, right now, we are going to just be doing some before events, and we'll just be preventing a player from placing a certain block. So to do that, all we have to do is when we have world.before events, we want to use the player place block. And with the player place block, all we have to do is just type in another dot again, and then we want to subscribe to the event. So we are listening for the event. However, if you want to do like a subscribe and unsubscribe, so for example, if you wanted to stop listening to the event after a while, you would use a constant player place EV, and then you would do something like world.before events.player place block, and then you can just unsubscribe from it after, like so. So you can just do a subscribe or unsubscribe. But for now, we won't be actually doing any of that special stuff. So we'll just be doing world.before events.player place block.subscribe straight up. And once you've got this written out, all we have to do is just type in the normal brackets. Then we want to fill in a callback. Now, to get information about how this callback actually works, you can just use the bridge autocompletes. But what I like to do is I like to go to the documentation, and then under the world before events, we can actually scroll down until we find the event that we're using. So player place block, and we just click on the type, then we click on the subscribe method, and as you can see here, it has a callback argument. Now, if we were to click on this callback argument, we can see here that we have a couple of variables that we can actually see. And if we want to see more events, you can see here that the class actually extends another class. So this is basically added onto another class. And the variables that are being added onto the other class is this block event class. And if we were to click on the block event class, we can see here that we can have access to the block and the dimension. But for now, we won't really be needing this information, except for the block information. So we could just detect what block ID it is and then cancel the event depending on the block ID. So with that information, we can go back to bridge. And then what we want to do is we want to type in EV, which is going to be our event variable. Then we want a function or an equals over to. And then the special brackets. And we are ready to start using this. So to actually use this variable, all we have to do is just type in EV dot. And as you can see here, we have access to all of these variables. So to actually cancel the block that we want to cancel, for example, a grass block, we can just use the if statement. So if ev.block.id or type ID is equal to, and as you can see here, the type ID is a string. So we know that it's going to contain a identifier and a namespace or a prefix. So if we want to cancel the grass block, we can just type in Minecraft.grass. So we know that we are cancelling the grass block. And then if it equals to that, we can just do ev.cancel is equal to true. And that is all we need to do. So let's head on over to Minecraft and see if this works in game. Now, one important thing before activating your add-on, what you want to do is under your world settings and under experiments, we want to enable the beta APIs if you're using the beta APIs. So all we have to do is just have to toggle that on and then just click on play. And it looks like a lot of errors have actually come up for us. So what we want to do is we want to see what those errors are. So with that being said, we can just access our content log history. Now, you might get this asked a lot. How do you access your content log? Well, what you can do is you can actually go to your settings and you can actually go to creator and enable content log file and content log GUI. And then all you have to do is just reload the world and check what errors come up. However, if you don't have that enabled, I suggest you do enable them because they give you a lot of information about a lot of errors that you might encounter. So, with that being said, what we're going to do is we want to access our content log history and then find the error that we had. And as you can see here, requesting invalid module version, server 1.8.0-beta, and it looks like we are using the wrong version. And the only available versions to us is 1.7.0-beta. So it looks like 1.8.0-beta is only available in the Minecraft preview version, while in the stable version, 1.7.0-beta is only available for us. So all we have to do to fix this is just go back to your add-on, or go back to Bridge, go into your manifest.json, scroll all the way down until you find your module name, Craft server, and then just change the version. So 1.7.0-beta, and all we have to do is just reload the world. And no errors popped up. So let's see if this actually works. So to do this, all we have to do is just grab a grass block and see if we can place it. As you can see, we can't place it because it's cancelling. So our script is actually working properly. So let's do some more special stuff and see what we can actually do with this. So let's head on over back to Bridge, go back to your main.js, and we can do some fancy things. So for example, we could send a message saying that we can't actually use this block. So we can just do ev.player.send message. And then since we are sending a string, we can just say, you cannot place this block, exclamation mark. And then all we have to do is just see what our changes are. We can just head on over back to Minecraft. And instead of reloading the world, we can actually just use the /reload command. Now, with the /reload command, you can actually use it if you haven't created any new files in the script API. This goes for the same with the tick.json or the functions. Now, so to do this, all we have to do is just type in /reload in Minecraft. Functions and script files have been reloaded. So let's see if this works. So place a block, and as you can see here, you cannot place this block. Pretty cool, right? So next thing that we want to do, or next thing that I'm going to show you, is how you can actually separate all of this stuff. So back in Bridge, if you want different files, or you want this function in a different file, and you want to import that file, since our main.js is actually an entry point into running your script, all we have to do is we can just create a new file and say we want to listen for events in this specific file. So we just call this events.js. And since we have our file created, we can just copy this code over and paste it into events.js. Now, once we have put in our events.js, or put in the code into your new file that you've created, what we want to do is we want to import this file. Now, the reason that we want to do that is because if we were to do the /reload, we can see that our scripts are no longer working. So to fix this, all we have to do is just import the actual file. So we can just do import and then the string, and then we can just do ./events.js. And that is all we need to do. So what we can do is we can just do /reload. Okay, I should have turned off. Yeah, okay, never mind. So as you can see here, our scripts are actually working again. Now, that's only just the simple stuff. So with that being said, we can do some fun stuff here. Oh, and there he's gone. So we can actually do some very special stuff. Now we could have homing arrows like I did last time on the stream. Now, if you haven't been watching the streams, I did create a homing arrow script live on stream. And if you want to see any interesting stuff, then you can just join our live streams. However, I'm just going to show the actual code that I created live on stream. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to go to where the code is. Never mind, here it is. So now that we have here, we can see homing arrows. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here because we don't really need to do anything in the main.js. And now that we have this in here, we can just head on over back to Minecraft, type in /reload, and then when we give ourselves a bow, I'm just going to go into survival for this. We can just, oh, I forgot to give myself arrows, my bad. So I give myself a stack of arrows. And when we shoot this arrow, as you can see, it homed in back on us. Ooh. Yes, that is a lot. Yep. There is a lot that we can actually do with Script API. And this is only some of the stuff that we can actually do with this. And yes, this will work for each arrow. So if, for example, I were to /summon arrow 50 that. Oh gosh, that was very close. We could do something like that. Ooh, yep. As you can see here, the arrow pretty much works at any distance. So that is only some of the stuff that that you can actually do with the Script API. There are tons more that we can do, which I will be showing you in 2 other tutorials, which will be the modal forms and the custom commands. So, with that being said, I will see you in those next tutorials, and I hope you actually learned something from this, even though Demon Dev actually joined us a little bit. So, with that being said, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!